Hi friends, just wanted to share with you how I fixed up this little treasure chest. It is used and it had some tears here, a tear here. It was missing quite a few of these little rivets, and it was really dirty. So quick how I did. The top was pretty stained, worse than this. I used Totally Awesome Cleaner to wipe it down. You have to be careful though, because depending on how they dyed it, the leather, it can ruin it, but it is better than it was. I'm sure there are leather cleaners that would have worked better, but just since this is only going to be used for family reunion games and decorations for holidays or something, I'm not going to worry about it too much. But this was missing, ripped up all the way up to here. And somebody had tried to glue it with some sticky glue or something. So I cleaned it off, got all the sticky glue off, and then I just used regular Elmer's glue because I knew I was going to be tacking it down. So I used Elmer's glue, spread it all the way down, and then it's down to about here, because if you look at this, where the tack is, that's where it finishes. So I glued it down to about there. And then to hold it down, I used Elmer's, masking tape. So I taped it here and along here and along here to hold it down while it dried overnight. And then when I went to try and pick it up today, it was solid, it was good. Then it's kind of hard because there's 3 different sizes of rivets, or upholstery tacks is what they technically I think are called. So I had one size already, and since like I said, it's just decoration, I didn't want to go purchase the exact tacks. You could, it would cost quite a bit, and by the time you pay for everything you need, whatever, it could cost you with cleaner and everything. Unless it's a family heirloom, I wouldn't recommend spending the money on it. But so then there was rips here and here also, so they're not quite dry. I put Elmer's glue on them and put tape on them, but I took the tape off to show you how I did it. So I squirt Elmer's glue in where the tear is on this fake leather pleather stuff, and then I put tape over right like that so that it can dry in its place. Now this tear, I put a little bit of Elmer's glue on it last night and put tape over it. It was kind of open and curling up. So then I took, but before I did that, I took some Sharpie. You can take different colors of Sharpie. Now I didn't have a light tan because I used that on my trailer, and I couldn't find to just purchase one anywhere, and they don't have that tan in the multi-packs in the town I'm in. So if you look really close, you can see I used a different color, a darker color. So I just went right down the center where the white part was showing from the tear, and then I used my finger to rub it in. And if it doesn't rub in all the way, you can put like a little, lick your finger a little bit and do this. I should have gloves on when I did it, but I do this all the time, and I never do. It's terrible. So then I used some super glue, and I just put a dab on there, and then I just held it for a few minutes, and it's really good now. It's not open at all. So if you take a step back, and I didn't say anything about that area, you can see there's fluctuations in the color anyway, and you wouldn't even know that tear was there. I'm standing maybe 2 feet back. So it's a great way to fix little tears where the fake pleather has a white edge. And also I did the same thing on the edges here. I took a black Sharpie or a brown Sharpie, depending on what color I was trying to match, and I just color the white corners, and all the way around the edge I did that. So you can fill it in using the Sharpie. Sharpies are great. These are the different colors that I've been using. There was one other brown, but it was so bad I threw it away. And I also have the skinny tipped ones, and the skinny tipped ones are great for little areas. So this had a crack all the way down, and when I'm holding it, this is less than a foot away. So you can see it clearly when I point it out and I'm holding it less than a foot away, but if I stand back a foot or 2, you can't even tell any different from the rest of the box. So this is on a kind of a wood surface, and so I just took that skinny Sharpie and I just poked it in and colored all that in. So that's a way you can do thin cracks, but you know, it looks just as bad up here, and that's just how it was. So me fixing it there, you wouldn't even know. You take a few steps back and and it looks the same as the front. It's not a big deal. I also did that on the corners. There was a lot of like chips and dings on the corners. Let me show you a bigger one so you can get an idea. Okay, so this is the back, and on the back there's a big piece of the laminate missing on both sides. But, you know, once again, take a step back, you can't even tell hardly that there's laminate missing on that left side. On the right, it's a little bit more dramatic, but your eye wouldn't necessarily go to it because I've matched the color pretty well. So then on the, let's see, inside, how I clean the inside. Now, they had stored bird feed and like, I don't know what kind of animal, guinea pig maybe, feed on the inside of this. And it was pretty dirty. So what you can do on the inside, it's usually this Velux type fabric. Shoot. But let me just hang it up. Sorry. So anyway, well, that worked on one phone, but not on the other phone. Oh, shoot. Anyway, there's a little bit of garbage in the bottom that you can see, just that it has fallen when I've been messing with it. But what I do is I take some clear masking packing tape, and I put it sticky side out on my fingers, and then I just dab it down there and it picks it right up. So I'm going to have to do that again because this has all fallen down since yesterday. But for the most part, it came out pretty clean. And then this lining was curling at the edges. So I just took some glue stick and rubbed the glue stick, and then just with my finger just pushed it up. And if it's curling a lot, you can use masking tape to hold it. But I didn't need it. You can see it's right up to the edge. The glue stick works pretty well. It worked pretty well all the way around. So that's how to reattach any curling liner that is in the box. And then you can vacuum it out if it has a lot of garbage, but still you need to get that fine particles that's kind of stuck in there, and that tape will do that. You can see all this is kind of loose stuff that has fallen since I've been working on it. I took it outside to do this next part I'm going to show you. Also, there was like divots in the leather here, and so I just used the glue stick on that as well. So there's different things that work for different areas. So there was that. Then these rivets, all I had was shiny brass on these rivets. And so what I had to do to make them look aged. Now, if you look at all of them, they're all kind of different colors. Some of them have rubbed off a little bit more. There was one up here that was really, really just almost steel color that had been rubbed off. So how I made them look aged was, I've done this several different ways, but this is a little different than the ones because they're all kind of darker, darker at the edges and shinier in the center. So I was trying to go with that, but then some of them are just brassy looking. So I think they're made of different materials. You can see they're all kind of different sizes and different colors. This one's more of a dark color. These are more brassy, and then these are more like the centers are really steel looking, but then darker on the edges. So I just got the one pack of the upholstery tacks, and they were too long, so they were showing on the inside. Sorry, let me show you. Hopefully you can see. They were. That's where the stuff has come through because I was hammering those in, and so that's just the pieces of wood. But they kind of poked through, and they were longer. So what I had to do was take a. If you have tin snips, you can try those, but usually it's a harder metal and it's too hard to do. So what I do is I take a grinding disc for a Dremel and put it on, and then I just measured. I poked one through, and then measured with a Sharpie, marked it with a Sharpie how long was too long, and then I wear eye protection. I always have glasses in because little metal shards can get in your eye, and I've actually seen that in the ER as a nurse. I've seen people coming in with those shards. So always wear protective eyewear when you're using a Dremel and a grinding tip. But anyway, so then I measured, and then I cut all of them off short so that they wouldn't show through on the inside and poke somebody's hand. And then I used super glue Well, I would paint them first. I painted them after, and I really regret that decision because it's a lot harder. You can see like I didn't quite get the edges on that, but when you're standing back, you're not going to notice it too much. So once you've cut them shorter, this is how I do it. You can, I've used Sharpies to color on them. It depends on what color the base one is and what color you need it to be. So you can color it with a Sharpie, and especially if it's not going to be in the front and be seen. But what I do is I find some spray paint that's the color that I want them to be. Now, like I said, if I look at that color, I did pretty well. But when I'm looking at that color, I would need a brass one. And I should have taken the time to pull out a brass one and do it, but I didn't. So because it's just a decoration and for a game. So I put a rubber glove on. I spray the tip. I shake it and get it mixed, and then I spray the tip of my finger with the paint on the glove, and then I touch the glove to the tip of the pin. Now, if I had them off, it would have been much easier and it would have been more consistent. But, you know, that kind of looks like darker on the edges and kind of a brass in the center, which some of these do anyway. So, especially like these ones. So they're lighter in the center and darker on the edges. So if I had done it before I had glued them in, that would have been a better idea, but I didn't. But you can know to do that. So any color paint that matches what you're trying to match is the best way to do that. So spray paint, some kind of, or you can use acrylic, but it will scrape off more than like acrylic. When it gets bumped, you will scrape it off unless you put a clear coat on top. So I typically would rather use a spray paint that's oil-based that won't scrape off if it gets bumped or nudged or rubbed. So anyway, so touch them with that, let it dry. And then once they're dry, put some super glue in the hole that you're putting it in because you want them to be in there pretty well. And then tap them in with like your finger if you can. If you tap it with a rough surface, it might hurt it. So anyway, that's how you do it, and it came out pretty good for a cheap thing. So if you're doing the wood edges, you can do the darker color and then rub it, but so you want to try and find the Sharpie that's the best color for it. But when you take a step back, it's not a big deal, and you can use the different colors. So right here, there was a big scratch, and I left some undone so you could see what it looks like undone. And then I did right here, and I just used this brown. And then I just rubbed once you put it in the hole, you just rub it with your finger and it disappears. My battery's about gone, so I'm not going to take the time to do that, but just know I have other videos that talk about that, and it's also on my blog. So check out thesecretisgratitude.com and type in Sharpie in Apple Composts, where I do that on all sorts of different things, painted things and non-painted things. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a super blessed day.